So Bob, any update on Taz? What's his status?
He didn't practice yesterday, so I didn't really talk to Doc yet today.
Does he need a walkthrough to play? Generally, that's your policy.
It's not my policy. It's
But to play, I mean, if he's not otherwise, you need him to play. Walkthrough.
do we need a walkthrough for him to play? Is that what you're asking me?
The way you go operate things, whether they're healthy or not, they need to at least have a walkthrough for you to be able to play the game. Is that how you generally go about it?
He doesn't need a walkthrough. I mean, he's been here long enough. He knows what we do.
I mean, I recall that with Deshaun one time. You did that with him.
That was an ankle, I think. That wasn't a concussion. That was an ankle.
Coach, under Hoiberg and Prom, Iowa State was always more of an offensive-driven team, but obviously it seems like they've kind of turned around more on defense this year under Otzelberger. I mean, what are you seeing there from them defensively, and have they changed things drastically in his first season?
Yeah, but I think it's that way pretty much every time you change coaches. I mean, they're playing 1-3-1, they're playing 1-1-3, they're playing man, they're pressing some, three-quarter court pressing and full court pressing. I mean, that's what he does. That's his personality. So, I mean, yes, it's different, but it would have been different, regardless.
Is that a tough sell? First year in a program, trying to change things that, I don't know if drastically is the word, but just trying to change things?
I don't let him vote.
You picked up a lot of beeline stuff when you saw the personnel you had.
We didn't really run. We didn't run any of his offensive stuff. We ran the motion stuff that I ran at Cincinnati. I mean, obviously there's similarities, because you reject screens like they do in his, and you curl screens, So it's they had an idea just from playing the way John had them playing, but ours was 5-out motion. But I had personnel to do that. And that's what I keep telling our guys here. When we got really good is when Wellington Smith got good. When he started making shots, then that way we put everybody on the floor could make a shot. And that was before Chuck got hurt. So we had 5 guys out there all could make shots.
How were they practice yesterday?
We didn't do very much. No. Watched film. Watched a lot of film. Kind of went through what they do offensively and what they do defensively, but it was a walkthrough. It wasn't anything strenuous.
Too heavy today and tomorrow. Pretty good.
We'll go pretty good today. I'm not sure about tomorrow.
How do you keep them? I mean, they're playing hard, and even though they didn't make shots against Texas Tech, they're right in that game. 2 minutes to go. How do you keep them going in that direction when they're struggling to score?
I would think showing them the standings would do it. I mean, it would for me. So they know where they are. It's been a tough year. I mean, we're on the verge of beating Baylor, and Taz gets knocked out, and we haven't had a great year all the way around. And then we got big boys. I mean, they just bounced it in, bounced it in, and bounced it and banged and bounced it and banged and bounced it and banged till they got close enough to score. And we physically couldn't match up with them.
I guess you would be more discouraged if they weren't doing what you asked them to do, or they packed it in. They really haven't done that.
No, we've played exceptionally hard, I think, the last 2 games. we were outmanned inside. We just physically, they were much bigger than we were. Stronger, wider, thicker.
A little different Tuesday with these guys. They play 3 guards.
Yeah, they play more 3 guards and but they've got a 7-footer and a 6'11" that they play and they both shoot it. Big George has been around there for quite a while. But they got other guys that have size that can step out and shoot it. Brockington has had a heck of a year. I mean, he's really played well for him.
Bob, you've talked about your freshmen. They closer to giving you quality minutes? What do you see out of those guys in terms of their development?
They've practiced well. It's like we talked about before. It's just hard to get those older guys out. Taz getting hurt at the end, I think, gave JC a chance to play some more. They're getting better and better. They just. I just think that they need some time. They need a little bit of time to grow up. They're going to be good.
What'd you see out of James in the game? He didn't score, but right place, doing what you wanted to do.
He competed. I think he's going to be a very good rebounder. And he shoots it okay. He doesn't shoot it great. He shoots it okay. They're going to have to guard him. He shoots it well enough. They're going to have to guard him.
Coach, you mentioned Brockington. Is he? What's your read on him? Is he more of a mid-range guy for them?
No, he's shooting threes.
I know he's shooting them, but
He's
bigger guy, right? I mean,
I don't know. What's big? He's 6'4".
oh, I thought he was like 6'5", 6'6".
No, he's 6'4". He's 6'4", but he's really athletic. I mean, he's big time athletic. So I mean, he can make athletic plays, and he has. Since he went there, he's shooting the ball so much better. He's shooting it better than he shot it at Penn State, and he can create his own.
Almost getting 8 rebounds a game. He's their best rebounder statistically.
Well, he's athletic. When you're that athletic, you're gonna get some rebounds.
Paulie gave you 9 rebounds. I think that's his best so far. Yeah, I mean, is that number indicative of how well he played, or what'd you think of his performance?
He had 9 rebounds and a busted lip. I mean, that's a hell of a day, you know. They whacked him in the mouth pretty good. I mean, he's our strongest guy. DC's a little taller than he is, but DC doesn't have Paulie's strength. But I mean, even at that, when you're playing against those guys that are 200 and whatever they are, 60 pounds or so, they're going to move you, and they did move us.
Bob, you're way down in assists, NCAA, and yelling, obviously, on what you want. Does that reflect on the point guards? Does that reflect on not making those one-foot shots? Does that reflect on bad passing? Why is that?
You just did a heck of a job in naming all of them, I think. We don't pass it very well. I mean, I've been very honest about that, I think, from the beginning. We don't pass it very well. We don't really have a point guard. You know, we're playing Keedy there, but Keedy was a scorer in junior college. He was off the ball guy. I think he's getting better and better, but he's not a pure point guard, so to speak. I think that it's a lot of things. We can't score it close. You know, we were 1 for 11 or something like that. I mean, you miss 10 shots from 1 foot away, your field goal percentage is not going to be very good. I mean, some of that has to do with we're outsized, I think, but a lot of it is just I don't know that they've ever done it. You know, you get the clips. You know, they're in a portal. You can get a clip, and so you get a clip and you watch it. But watching those guys play, how do I say it? In a lower level league is 100% different than playing against the men that they play against here.
I'll tell you this, with what's gone on that way, I mean, you've had a lot to complain about, obviously, but you haven't lamented Deuce being gone, Jordan McCabe being gone, 2 guys that, had you had this year, you probably wouldn't be in that mess. Not that you should have had them, but, you know.
Well, I mean, if you want to know the gospel truth, losing Derek was the biggest loss by a landslide. I mean, you're talking about a guy who walks on the floor and he's a double-double walking on the floor. He could score it. He's the guy that we could throw it close to when we needed a basket. He's the guy who rebounded it offensively, kept balls alive, gave us second chances. We miss him. I mean, we really miss him, and him not coming back. I mean, he's going to end up making a lot of money playing basketball. So it's hard to argue with, you know, the fact he didn't come back. But the reality of it is, our team would be so much better with Derek Culver. And Derek was also, I mean, he took care of those other guys. You know, nobody messed with those other guys. I mean, he was the guy. And for Deuce is a hell of a player, but he doesn't contribute in as many ways as what Derek did. But Derek could pass it too.
Kind of gave you an identity, didn't he?
Well, I think he gave us an identity, but I think more than that, Bob, he could pass it. Obviously, he's the best rebounder in the league. He could score it close. I mean, when he really had his mind to it, you could ISO him and he could drive it. I mean, he could do a variety of things and do them extremely well. I mean, every time he goes to a NBA tryout, they call and they first thing they always say is, God, does he have great feet? He's got great feet. So we could switch ball screens with him. You know, there's guys you can't switch ball screens with because they can't stay in front of anybody. He can at 6'10" or 11. But if we had him back, we wouldn't have 2 conference wins right now. But we don't, so you know, you go on.
Does your lack of size, I mean specifically it sounds like weight and strength, does that show up in other areas besides defense? I'm thinking like screening, for example. You've talked about not being able to close off or hold up some screens sometimes, or...
I don't know, I've never seen him try.
It just seems like it's an expansive issue to have.
Well, Paulie's our best screener too, which makes sense because he's our most physical guy.
Scoring with your back to the basket, is that a lost skill today?
They're trying to make it that way, but no. I mean, again, I mean, if you have a Derek Culver, if you have the guys that they have at Kansas, no, it's not at all. I mean, everybody is running some kind of motion to a duck in, and a duck in is having at least 1 1 foot in the paint and preferably 2. So, no, I don't think so. Why would you? I mean, what if you can throw it a foot from the basket? The majority of the guys that play down there can score that. They've done it their whole careers. You know, we did it with Day, you know, because we didn't have a big, so we did it with Deshaun. But Day posted in high school. You know, he was a big guy for high school.
You just see bigs, first thing they do is go out and shoot threes or shoot perimeter shots. That's just,
Well, everybody does that.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
that's part of the culture, I guess. I mean,
you have to teach a skill that they should have learned maybe when they were 15.
well, when we had Sags here, we had to hurt him back in. I mean, he all he wanted to do was shoot threes.
I mean, that's time you have to take to do that when you can be doing other things.
Yeah, I mean, they like coming in and shooting threes. They don't like coming in and working on a toss back and you know, posting, working on duck ins, working on passing, working on ball handling. That's not a lot of fun. Shooting threes is fun.
Scoring through contact, things like that.
They don't do any of that.
So you have to work on some of that stuff.
We have to work on all that stuff.
Yeah. When you could be doing other things.
Well, but you know, John, that's the thing that everybody keeps harping on, the portal. So you bring those guys in, there's a heck of a chance that they haven't been taught those things. It's amazing when you have big guys that they miss shot after shot after shot, and the biggest reason is they never look where they're shooting. They're so concerned with the contact, they're so concerned with getting their shot blocked that they don't look at the rim. I mean, I've told you guys before, I mean, Danny Fortson's the best post player I've ever had. And, I mean, he never looked at the rim. He missed shot after shot. Now, the difference was he'd go get it, you know, and shoot again. I think sometimes he did it just to pad his stats, you know, but you know, I mean, I brought a couple football guys in to hit him so he had a look, and because contact brings the ball down. That's what people don't realize. Contact will bring the ball down considerably, depending on how much contact there is. And he got to the point where he had 3 linemen there. I mean, smacking the heck out of him with passing. He wore them out. He just wore them out. But he didn't miss shots unless he wanted to. Then, I mean, he'd miss some, I think, just to crotch it to get another rebound. If he had 18, he wanted 20. He might have missed a couple, but he'd get it back and put it in. Wasn't like he was taken from his scoring average either.
Is that what you mean when you said the other day about getting a rebound and being able to do something with the rebound? So you guys are getting rebounds but not able to.
Don't finish.
Yeah.
We don't finish.
Bob, when you've looked at the portal, is finding quality big guys a premium? And maybe it's just a premium in life in recruiting, but more guards available that can help you than bigs?
Well, how about this? The supposed expert of the portal was Chris. They're not setting the world on fire. I mean, they're winning more than we are, obviously, but they're not setting the world on fire. You look at Kansas has got in my mind, they have got the best players in the league, and they don't have many portal guys, not very many. Majority of those guys were high school kids that they recruited, that they brought in, that they worked with, that knew the system, that knew what their role was. I mean, we're going to use the portal, but it's got to be more selective than just going and getting some guys and looking at their numbers.
guard position, just listening to you talk about how big players are different, is the point guard different now too? Because so many players think they can handle the ball or initiate their own offense. I mean, big guys handle it and shoot it too. Has the one kind of faded a little bit? Like what it used to have been not that long ago.
It probably has, Mike, but it probably has faded some. But those are the guys they have. Whoever has the ball in their hands is responsible for getting you an offense. You know, and they don't. If they haven't worked on that and been taught, it's hard. You know, it's hard. It's like taking a wide receiver, putting him under center, and say, "Hey, here's our quarterback." It doesn't work like that.
I guess it's surprising me because that's the position you would aspire to have the ball be the most important.
What, the wide receiver?
No, well, for basketball, like if you're the point guard, you kind of have an.
Well, you do
important
want
job.
him to have the ball.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Why wouldn't you want to be that guy?
Why wouldn't you want to be that guy? It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of responsibility, a lot of guys yelling at you. You know, when we had more than one big, they were both yelling at the point guard. But it's I mean, if we were going to do this right, I think we would have, like, instead of trying to track down film of a guy, whatever, you'd have like a camp or something to where you could actually see him play. And the NBA would love it because they could send their guys in there to coach, and they could see the guys and see how they acted. Everything, but doesn't look like that's going to happen.
Coach,
Well, go ahead. Okay, well, just back to Iowa State a little bit. So key for you guys tomorrow night? Biggest keys?
We got to make shots. We got to make shots. We got to make close shots, and we're going to have to defend. They're good. They're good. They run good stuff. He runs really good stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, we all pretty much run some of the same kind of stuff, but they execute very well. They've got size. They can make shots. You know, we'll have to. I mean, it's the Big 12. It's not some of those other leagues.
Saturday, with the shots that you missed, were the majority of them ones you were looking for, or were they shots you're like, we could've done better this
Until the end.
Till the end?
Yeah, until the end, we had good shots. I mean, we had some shots that we were fouled before we got them off. And Sean had a breakaway. The one with the net situation. And, I mean, there's a lot of stuff goes on under there.
Coach, I know he hasn't played very much since he's been here, but there's a report that Senny's in the portal.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. Yes.
I was going to ask about that. That seemed like a good idea for a player like him to come in. I mean, it worked for Jalen. Ideally, that could have been what James was doing. That seemed like it's going to be very hard to talk people into entertaining and then sticking with moving forward.
Well, let me put it just as best I can put it without saying the wrong thing. Our guys come here, they're going to go to school, and they're going to come in and practice, and if they want to play, they got to get in and work at their skill level. And if they don't come in and work at their skill level, obviously they can't help us. If they don't go to school, you know, they're going to be doing more tire flipping than they are studying. And you know, it goes back to the same old thing. You know, do the right thing. It's my training rules are pretty simple. Do right. Do right. Do what you're supposed to do. Sometimes you get comfortable. I think we all do. Sometimes we get comfortable and we slack off doing what we're supposed to do.
Out of curiosity, that the net play that you talked about, is that a play refs are allowed to go and review? Because I know that wasn't reviewed, right?
No.
Are they allowed to review that?
Honestly, I don't know
Yeah, I don't know either.
100%, but I think so. But I don't know 100%.
Anything else?
Yeah, if I could circle back on one thing, you said instead of trying to track down film of a guy, have a camp. You mean for like transfer people?
I think it'd be great.
Yeah. I like this.
I
Everybody
think
complains about the problem. I haven't heard about a solution.
I think it would be great. I think it'd be great to have. I mean, you have them for high school kids. Why couldn't you have them for transfers? And with some of the high school things, there's NBA guys there coaching them, either former NBA players or assistant coaches. I mean, I think it would, and a lot of things, Mike. One, it could, I think, deter kids from making bad decisions. If they're playing for an NBA guy and he says, you need to take your back to school, you're not ready for this. I think that would have more impact than, because you got all those agents out there saying, hey, you're ready, and don't listen to coach because he just wants you back because he needs you, you know, that kind of crap. And which isn't true very often, maybe once in a while. But yeah, I mean, I just think it makes more sense. And now that the NCAA has made money again, they got money, they could afford to, you know, foot the bill for the camps, since the portal was their idea. You know, they try to do it with high schools, and, you know, then they did it at a couple different campuses. But, I mean, somebody's always going to bitch, you know. So they do it at your college, and your rival was complaining that that's an unfair advantage because they're, you know, and with the high school level, I don't know how you could twist it around that it's a bad thing for guys that have declared for the draft or who are ready to go. You know, I mean, and it would be great for, you know, that they go to the NBA combine and they get shots and they weighed and measured and all that. I mean, I would think it'd be so much better to take these guys. We wouldn't lose so many guys, you know.
Slow the process down. At least point your point about making rash decisions.
Well, John, they got so many people in their ear,
Yeah.
and you know, we've tried to lobby with the NBA to do it quicker. You know, the way it is now, guys can stay in the draft until way after we're not allowed to bring them back. And I think something like that would help. I think at a camp like that, you have it whenever you want to have it.
You can have it after the Final Four, to your point, then the decisions would be made then instead of now.
Yeah.
everybody could adjust.
And probably actually they would shut the doors and not let the agents in, and so the people talking to them would be actually NBA people, maybe general manager, coaches, assistant coaches, former players, whatever, that actually could have. They don't have a dog in the fight. You know what I'm saying? And they don't have a dog in the fight. They don't care. They don't care whether the guy goes or stays. They don't care. And I think they would. I think they would welcome that, and I think too they would do a great job of being honest and fair with guys.
That's the best idea I've ever heard in 2 years.
Well, I did graduate magna cum laude if you want to go back and check.
So transfer camp, NBA people who can say, you should stick here, maybe you should move on.
I think it's a great idea.
You like the idea of having windows of time where kids can and can't transfer? Bookend dates?
I mean, to be fair to their teammates,
Yeah.
their former and future teammates, yeah, should be.